that becomes a
Yeah.
strategy. The strategy is
Yeah, I see.
get angry and frustrated, so people will back off.
You're giving actually very deep insights to each and every one of my questions.
Should I
So,
stop?
so hi guys, I'm Priyam from 4Humans, and welcome back to another show on 4Humans. And today we have a very special guest with us. She is Mrs. Hema. She's a counselor, therapist, psychologist by profession, and she is here to talk with us on ADHD. So before we start our session on ADHD, I'll give you a minute, Hema, to introduce yourself to our audience.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Priyam. To give a brief introduction about myself, I started my journey as a physiotherapist. That's what my initial profession was. And then over the years, I realized that that was not my calling. So I wanted to do something that was related to human psychology, mind work. How can we change things very quickly? How can you come out of things very quickly? So on that journey, I ended up learning attending courses, different short courses, and I did my 2 years diploma in business and life coaching. And I did a lot of courses on neuro linguistic programming, which helped me to understand human brain and work effectively with creating change in people. Now, I have the confidence, not just the confidence, the evidence based practice to prove that we can change anything if we want. Human brain is
Oh,
so flexible, human brain is so powerful. All it needs to know is that you are ready. So, and I have been doing this since 2010. So my
mhm.
journey actually exactly started in 2011 May, but in 2010 is when I started dabbling into short courses and stuff. That's my little introduction.
So you're saying that we have full, yeah. So you're saying we have full rights to practice our own will if we know how to.
Yeah, if you choose it. Yes.
I see, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we'll start with a brief introduction to what is ADHD.
Okay. ADHD, it has so many different definitions that in a nutshell, what does it mean is there are two ways people call it, ADD and ADHD. ADD is attention
Yeah.
deficit disorder. ADHD is the new definition that came up around 1987, where it included one of the key symptoms that people face, which is AD hyperactive.
Hmm.
ADHD. H stands for hyperactive because it was one of the classic symptoms. Prior to
Hmm.
that, it was only focused on attention deficit. People can't focus, so that is ADD. But then they realize that it's not only not able to focus, but you are more impulsive. You're fidgety and hyperactive. So
Yeah.
the definition got added to that.
Hmm.
Usually, it starts in your childhood. Between 6 to 12 years is generally when people start seeing the symptoms of it, but
Hmm.
it can last in your adulthood as well. And most of
I
the time,
see.
people find strategies to cope with it. Otherwise, it will last in your adulthood as well. And majority of the times, when you are in adulthood displaying ADHD, people will call you lazy, slacker,
Wow. you,
inattentive.
you sound like my mom now.
Well, that's the name, that's the label that gets given
Yeah,
when
yeah.
it actually is not. It's not by will. Like you are not
Hmm.
choosing to be that person. It's the
Yeah, yeah.
chemicals that do that. So
Hmm.
it's a mental health condition where
Hmm.
due to the certain reduction of neurotransmitters, you
I
are
see.
not able to perform like rest of the crowd. So some of the symptoms that you have is you're not able to focus, you are fidgety, hyperactive, you get distracted very easily, and you always have problems with following instructions, following rules.
Hmm.
You can't sit in one spot for a period of time.
Yeah.
You wander, you have difficulty completing what you started. Sometimes you have difficulty starting what you want to start.
Yeah.
So you live a lot in the space of not getting things done. So pretty much, and that's a classic way to understand when somebody is going through ADHD. But the beauty is, it should last at least for 3 to 6 months. for you to be diagnosed with ADHD. You know what I mean?
I see.
What people display for ADHD is common with all of us, right? There are days
Yeah.
when all of us don't want to focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, if it is something that you can control and if it happens once in a while, it's not ADHD. But if it is
Mm.
happening and you're not able to control, you want to change it, but you are not able to change it, and it's affecting you functionally, it has lasted for more than 6 months, then it's a diagnosed ADHD or it's a diagnosable ADHD.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
like, do we also have types in ADHD, like in other disorders, or?
Yeah, there are, but generally there are three main types. Okay, like I'm basing it on symptoms. I'm not basing it on medical terms.
Okay.
There is one group of ADHD people who've got only attention deficit. When I say
Okay.
attention deficit, they can't focus on things. They can't concentrate. That's
Okay.
the only symptom they have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is another type who are impulsive, who are more hyperactive.
Hmm.
They are always like you can't, like, in schools, remember there are some kids who can't sit in one spot. They're always
Yeah. Yeah.
fidgety. They get into trouble with teacher all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's another group. And the third group is people who have got both these.
Oh, I
Deadly
see.
combination. Yeah. In some kids, it will be one more than the other.
Hmm.
Some people have both of them. So they are the ones
Hmm.
who are called as troublemakers.
Troublemakers. All right. All right.
Yeah.
So, like, do you think that, like, even if let's say that a child is not diagnosed with a child has ADHD, but their parents did not get the diagnosis for them. So, do you think that with age, the ADHD thing will automatically be, mild, and
See,
it can it disappear with
it,
time?
it, there are different school of thoughts about it.
Hmm.
But from what I have seen, it doesn't disappear.
Oh,
But what happens is as we grow, we find strategies to mask
hmm.
that.
I see.
Okay. When you are in your third grade, if you are fidgety, you can be fidgety, right? You can just do this, you can just walk around. But then let's just say
Yeah.
when you are in a corporate world in a meeting,
Yeah.
you'll probably hold on to something or you'll just flick the pen, or just
Yeah. Yeah.
do something with your hands.
Or maybe play drums with your hands.
Yeah. So basically, what you do is you kind of mask the symptoms.
Hmm.
So it feels like it's not there, or you can complete, or you can find strategies. You would have realized some people will learn strategies to reduce the symptoms,
Hmm.
but why doesn't it go away? Like, say, for example, see if you've got eye problem, okay, short
Yeah. Yeah.
sightedness.
Okay.
When you wear the glasses, what happens? You can see properly, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you take off the glasses, what happens?
Yeah. You can't say.
Same, ADHD.
Yeah.
When you have
Okay.
strategies, you do get better. If you don't have
Mhm.
strategies, it doesn't go away.
So you're saying that with time, people learn to modify the
Yes.
true expression of ADHD.
Yeah, they modify or they come up with strategies to cope better.
I see.
Okay. Say,
Okay.
I used to have ADHD. I have
I
ADHD.
think I have too, because the way
Yeah.
you described the school thing,
Yeah.
that the teachers get,
Yeah.
they get very irritated, and
Yeah.
so like, I remember my PTMs, my parent teacher meetings.
Yeah.
So in almost every parent teacher meeting, my teachers used to yell about me to my mom. And in
Yeah.
few parent teacher meetings, my mom actually ended up crying, like, oh my God, my kid is so notorious.
Yeah.
But I didn't know about it. And neither probably, I think my parents also didn't know about it. So
Yeah.
we took it like a nature of a child, that okay, the
Yeah.
child. And because the one thing that saved me in school was probably my intelligence, because
Right.
because of that I was able to score marks, so
Right. That kind of helped you to
yeah, that kind of helped me to not
get
to
into
make sure
trouble.
that teacher doesn't kick me out of the class, because every time she would
Yeah.
try to pick me and ask me questions that I might not able to answer, and then use that to get me out of the class, but I would answer it. So that again would pile her up frustration. So ultimately that all those frustrations used to come out in my parents' meetings.
Yeah.
So the way you described it, it actually reminded me of my childhood, when I was in school.
True, because the thing is, see, there are so many symptoms of ADHD, okay? So many symptoms. One of the symptoms is if you had ADHD, like you said, you had ADHD, okay?
Yeah.
When you are probably in the class or when you're listening to, when you're doing certain activities, you probably had the symptoms, whatever symptoms you had.
Yeah.
But when you were doing something, some activities, you were able to control the symptoms. Say, for example, you said you are intelligent, so you probably were able to sit and study. Or when you're learning certain subjects, you're able to focus.
Yeah, like for a short period of time when I'm able to focus, I'm able to, grasp things quickly and, make sure that I just manage to get what I want.
Yeah. See, ADHD people, there are people who are really good in sports. So when they're playing sports, they're not getting distracted, they're not fidgety, they get the job done. But once on the field, they're again dead. And people usually say, if we can do that in the sports, why don't you do it in the studies?
Yeah.
It's like they're not doing it out of their own control. It's just
It's
out of
basically, is it the stimulation that is leading them to perform well?
lot of research, no conclusive answer.
Yeah.
The reason ADHD happens is because of, see, our brain releases close to 50 chemicals, okay?
Yeah.
Each of them have got different functions.
Yeah.
Some make you happy, sad, blah, 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 blah. Okay?
Yeah.
And two of them especially are important for us to be focused, to be able to get jobs done, to be taking risk, to be committed to completion. All these, for all these, whatever effort you need to take for that, there are two neurotransmitters that are necessary. One of them is called dopamine.
Yeah.
The other one is called norendorphins. Okay.
Yeah.
These two are going to help you to focus, to commit to completion, and all these. People who have ADHD, it's not that these neurotransmitters are not released, but they're not strong enough for the receptors of other neurons to grasp it and like move it down the line. So
I see.
basically, there is lesser of these two neurotransmitters that is causing you the symptoms. Okay. Now,
I see.
how come some kids, some activities we are doing very well? I don't know. Maybe when we are doing certain activities, our neurotransmitters are fired up. And how does it happen?
Yeah.
There is no conclusive. See, but from what I've said, let's just say you're not a doctor, okay?
Yeah.
But so if I told you that the reason that I'm not able to focus and give attention is because of these two neurotransmitters.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I want to improve my focus and attention. What would you tell me?
Like normal people would say that maybe make a timetable and forcefully pay attention.
Good. That is a behavioral strategy. That is one of the treatments. That is behavioral treatment.
Yeah.
Behavioral psychology. But what do doctors do is, see, those two neurotransmitters can be given externally through medications.
Yeah.
So you take that, instead of your brain producing it, you have that in your body and you're able to focus.
I see.
So pretty much the answer is very straightforward. How do you treat ADHD? With medications or behavioral therapies, behavioral psychotherapies.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where like these medications like Adderall and Ritalin comes into play.
Yeah, I don't know those medications exactly. The reason being, I personally don't believe in medications.
Yeah, you're right. I strongly believe that any mental health order can be resolved without allopathy medications, and I actually did some research in Ayurveda and I came to know that ashwagandha powder can actually help you a lot in yeah. I started taking it from yesterday, so I can't actually tell much about it, my personal experience. I'll take a week to make a comment on that, but from the studies that have been conducted, they have concluded that ashwagandha can actually help you guys if you have ADHD to concentrate.
Why not? Why not? If it's going to help, it's going to help, right? And
Yeah.
the only reason I don't encourage, or I don't use medications or recommend medications for ADHD, is only because it's temporary. It's like, alcohol. You take it, you feel
Oh.
like you are the king of the world. The alcohol, if it goes down, you're depressed. So,
The way you expressed it, nice.
so
So let's cover up in general. Let's just conclude the basic symptoms and experience of an individual with ADHD, and then we'll move on to the diagnosis process.
So simply put, symptoms could range anywhere from lack of concentration, being hyperactive, being spontaneous or impulsive, not able to control your thought. If you want something, you want it now.
Okay.
You just can't control your emotions, and then after you get it, you don't know why you were jumping around for getting that. You can't start things. You want to start something. You want to start doing something, but it's just that you just can't move to get it done, or you get started sometimes with enthusiasm, but then you can't complete it. For some reason, you lose your interest halfway. When you
Yeah.
are in meetings, your mind just goes in and out, like as if, imagine if you're sitting in front of the TV and you've got 5 channels going on at the same time.
I see.
Your brain goes on in and out, like it tries to grasp everything. So all these are, you could have any of these symptoms, okay? Generally, what is medical professionals, usually they do a test. It's a self-test. You'll go through a list of questions, and basically, if you have more than 6 symptoms, and it has lasted for more than 6 months, then you'll be diagnosed with ADHD.
Okay. Okay. So that is the general process of diagnosis.
General process, yeah. You can go online and take a test. Online tests are there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure majority of us will be diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah, because they would just misinterpret the idea of time cycle, that they might have opted for the questions based on their past week moods of their past week. They might
Yeah.
consider
It's
the
not the flaw of the questionnaire. It's the human error that we make.
yeah. So do you think, Hema, that people with ADHD, they might be prone to develop unhealthy habits for them?
As part of coping, they might.
As part of what?
Coping mechanism to cope
Okay,
with
okay.
their inability to,
Yeah.
see, whatever gives you those neurotransmitters, okay? Some
Dopamine
drugs,
hits.
some drugs give you that effect.
Yeah.
The medication is a slow release medication, okay? So it releases, and it is controlled. But then when you take basically drugs, certain drugs, okay, they also stimulate these, and then you feel like you are in control. You can do things properly.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes, it's possible. And probably some people, if not drugs or anything, people can resort to anger if they're not able to get things done, and say somebody comes and says something and they are yelling and screaming, and people back off, that becomes their strategy. Their strategy is
Yeah, I see.
get angry and frustrated, so people will back off. So
I see.
it's possible.
You're giving actually very deep insights to each and every one of my questions.
Should I stop?
No, you shouldn't stop. You should carry on.
Right.
And so that was about. So let's talk about few of the challenges that individuals with ADHD might face. Like social challenges or physical challenges, or challenges in terms of academics and their career.
Say, from the symptoms itself, it will be difficult for them to do academically really well. When I say academically really well, maybe they might be switched on in studies, but their answer, writing it down, that might be difficult for an ADHD person. They'll be able to say it.
I see.
But putting the thought in paper might not be easy for them.
Yeah, I see that.
Okay.
Or they might, feel lazy to write the answers of questions during exam.
Yeah. it's just their brain is, remember I told you one of the symptoms is getting started.
Yeah.
They can't frame things and see it to the completion. It's all jumbled up. It can affect their academic life. Like it's really hard for them. I can tell you from my experience, I used to really try hard to get good grades. Like I used to struggle. Like I say the night before exams, I won't even sleep, and then I'll give my
Same thing with me.
Yeah.
Like the night before exam around 12 p.m. I would get this motivation. Okay, now I better study or I'll mess up. And from 12 p.m. to 4 a.m. not 12 p.m. sorry, 12 midnight to 4 or 5 a.m. I would just sit there in one go, try to mug up as much as I can. Then I would sleep for 1 or 2 hours and then go for exam at around 8:30 or 9 a.m.
Yeah, and what is the problem with that structure? After the exams, you forget everything.
Right about that.
You lose confidence in yourself, right? So you don't have to work so hard. Actually, our brain is super smart. If the education system had understood at least that there are many children who have ADHD, there might be a possibility for children like you and me to study really well. We have the capability, okay? It's just that we can't study the way other kids study. We can't.
I think the solution can be the environment-based learning approach.
Possible. Yeah. Do it like I always used to, I would prefer doing things than sitting in a spot and listening. So in school, they might be struggling with getting good grades and even making friends sometimes. It's just that they're not, it's easy for them to jump from one group to another. It can come across as like they're not loyal, but it's not like they're not. They're just, they're in a different world. They get easily distracted, okay?
Maybe they are looking for different kinds of social interactions.
Yeah. But they'll have lots of friends. Like that's the only source of peace of mind they get actually, because they're not able to. They can't get it in studies, and people don't understand. Only friends understand. Like when they are in that group. Apart from that, in social life, again, they usually feel like they will have this complex that they're not able to do what other people are doing. They will always have this feeling that for example, you are starting a hobby, okay? Let's just say you are planning to go for swimming with your friend. See, you might leave it halfway, but your friend might finish it.
You are very right about it.
And that makes you feel like, what's wrong with me? Why am I like this?
That can happen with some people, yes.
Yeah. And so they will have a lot of self doubts and questions about themselves, which I have gone through as well.
Okay.
When it comes to professional is quite difficult as well, because they'll be really good at some aspect, but they'll be really crap at some aspect. The only saving grace is they will definitely be good at something, and that's what they will try to portray. They'll try to sell themselves on those aspects, but the aspects that they're not really good at, for example, attending meetings, doing project work, sitting and working. So these things might affect them pretty badly. So even professionally, in professional world, okay, usually people who climb the corporate ladder are the ones who can make decisions very quickly. And who can make hard decisions. And people who are able to get things done quicker. And all these things are a bit of a problem for people with ADHD.
I see now.
So a lot of them will prefer to work on their own, or even if they are doing a project, they would like to be left alone. Just do the project and I'll do it.
So what was that one thing that you were really good at, Hema? And what were the things that you were really bad at?
I actually was very good at doing anything as long as I'm given complete independence, like complete autonomy.
I
If you
see.
ask me to do a project,
Uh-huh.
you should not come and disturb me. You should not come and ask me, what are you doing? How when just give me 10 days or
Yeah.
5 days and I'll just get it done.
Yeah. Don't put a sequence of set of sequence for
Yeah.
us, right? We want to be our own, like we want to set our own sequence. Maybe we'll go through our own channels and reach the destination, but don't tell us the path to follow to get to that destination.
Yeah, and I actually remember when I was in corporate world, this is in Australia. A lot of times the first few years of my corporate life, I used to be very quiet because I had a lot of insecurities,
I
a lot of
see.
self doubts. But then once I understood what is ADHD and what is probably why am I taking time? What is the decision making strategy I've got? What strategy I need to adopt? Once I
Yeah.
got that, whenever I'm in any teams, any meetings,
Yeah.
I was one of those people who will just wait for the meeting to go. At one point, I'll start and I'll just fire all the points, and I would always get noticed. Always get noticed. Wherever I go, even my director from one of the companies I worked for in Australia,
Yeah.
it was a government organization. The director, who's not manager, she always noticed me and she would say, Hema, any new project comes, she will ask me, can you get started on this? Because if you send me to any meetings, I will ask a lot of questions that other people are afraid of asking. But I don't ask
Yeah.
in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
I just listen, make a note of all the things that's not clear, and then I'll just bombard. So
You'll just bombard.
yeah, I totally will. So I think that was one thing that was in my favor. So
I think that is one thing that actually helped your organization, by answering your questions.
probably did, I hope.
All right. So
Yeah.
that was about the challenges of ADHD, right?
Yeah.
And what about the treatment? Like, are there multiple approaches to treat ADHD, or is there only single treatment like medication, and that's it?
See, medication is the most common one. But as I said, the only problem or drawback with medication is once you're off the medication, you'll go back to the way you were. So you have to become dependent on the medications. That's one thing. Okay. And there are some people who have said that there are side effects. When the medication weans off, they get more agitated and angry, like than they were before. So, so it's up to you. If the symptoms are pretty bad, you might as well take medications. The other ways of treatment, traditional ways of treatment, is behavioral therapy. For children, usually they will have meetings with parents and children, and they will put some structure or routine in their life. What's the first thing you need to do? Second thing you need to do? Third thing you need to do in a day? And they continue that, and that way their mind gets the pattern. And it takes a bit of time. The family has to get involved, and as we grow up, we develop strategies and techniques to manage our symptoms. Okay. In NLP as well, but in NLP, pretty much the same actually, but we come from a different language. Okay. So if you have ADHD, the first thing I want to know is, I don't even need to know the symptoms. I don't need to know all the stories of why or where, how it started. All I want to know is, do you want to get it changed? And the answer is, if you say yes, I want to know what happens when you're trying to do something. And it will come out in your language. It's in my questioning techniques. Okay. Sometimes children will say something like, I just feel like too many noises. If they say that, I will just tell them, say right now, if I and few other people are talking, what would you do? I will just walk away. Okay. And if there are 4 TVs and every TV has got too much noise, what would you do? I will take the remote and stop, and I will say the same thing. So next time you have too many noises, close your eyes, take the remote and turn off the volume in each of them. And it does work. It does work.
Okay.
It's funny, but
Okay.
I can't tell you if this is the only technique I will use. It completely depends on what is happening in their head. When they word it, it's easy for me and even for them to solve it. Some kids have just said that the problem they have is they just feel like they are flying. Like they don't have any control. All you need to do is grow some roots in your foot and ground yourself. Now, how do you feel like? So in NLP, it's more finding out what strategy, what is happening in their head, and what is a strategy that can help them to stop that drama that's happening. And once they stop the drama, they're able to deal effectively with in life. So I mean, I enjoy NLP. I enjoy working with people with unexplainable conditions and
Okay.
solving
Yeah.
it. So yeah, NLP also works wonderfully for people who have ADHD.
Okay. So did you have any severe case of ADHD in your work experience?
I've had one or few kids who had ADHD, and like as I said, some of these are some of the treatments that we have talked about, and one of the kids had difficulty focusing on anything. So in their mind, I asked them to create a room where what are the things you need to have in that room to stay focused? What are the things? So they told me whatever, and I asked them to put all those in that room. And I told them whenever you have to study something, close your eyes, go to that room, sit down there, and then open your eyes, read the book, whatever you want to read. So you are sitting in that room.
Okay. Okay.
So different, like, yeah, all the things I've told you are the strategies that I've used for different kids actually. When you ask me severe case of ADHD, I don't know. Everybody is
Okay.
different, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Maybe you would maybe you might say that your case in itself was a severe one.
Yeah. I was like crazy. I was a crazy one too, like in my own way.
Share with us some of your story, Hema. Like maybe your college days story or maybe school days. How was your school day with ADHD? And at what age actually did you discover that you had ADHD?
Oh, see, when I was in college, okay, when I went to Melbourne back in 2001, on the first day when we reported at the university, I studied at the Melbourne University, really good university. So we were all sitting in this room, like all the international students. There were hardly 4 or 5 Australians. Rest of them are like from Sweden, from Indonesia, from India, blah 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 blah. We're all sitting, and this international,
blah, blah, blah.
yeah, this beautiful coordinator, she came and she said, now you're all physiotherapists from different parts of the world, so can you tell us a little bit about your experience? Okay, so they started with, like, I was sitting here and they started with the person to my left, so it has to go all the way and it has to come to me,
and you couldn't wait for it.
I was literally going to pee in my pants. I was so scared. I did not know what to say. Like, I could hear everybody and I didn't want it to be my turn. I could not open my mouth. Like, words wouldn't come out of my mouth. I was so scared, really scared. Like, that starting trouble. And I was panicking. I thought I'm going to faint. I was like so scared. Like, this was just a different Hema from that time. It goes all the way and it comes near me. And my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, he would nail it. He was like super confident person. He
was also from Melbourne.
Yeah. He was also a student in Melbourne. So he did his stuff, and it came to me, and I stood up, and I didn't know what to say. I said, "I'm from India. I make people walk if they can't walk," and I just sat down. That's all I said.
Okay, so
it was crappiest, horrible introduction you can give.
Yeah, in the most simple word, that's what physiotherapists do.
But that's not how you introduce yourself, right?
Yeah.
So, but the coordinator was extremely sweet. She kept looking at me, waiting for more answer. But then I sat down, and she said, "Okay, very well done." And then she moved on.
All her hopes scattered when you
sat
down.
I hope so. I hope not. She's beautiful. She was beautiful. Wherever she is, bless her. So that was the kind of, like, everywhere you put me. We'll have to do group work assignments, and it was like horrible times. I can't even begin to explain. If anybody who's watching can relate to it, I don't know if you can relate to it. we'll be doing assignments, okay? So I'll be in a
Yeah.
group with 2 or 3 Australians and 2 or 3 different country people from different countries,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
all had to brainstorm and discuss. And there was
Yeah.
this one particular session I still remember. This guy, we were all like really nice people in my team, but this one particular Australian guy, he was hoping that I would say something, okay? So everybody's giving their 2 cents worth, and I'm just sitting there. I,
Yeah.
I could not string a sentence. This, like, too many thoughts. I said, like, at the same time, 10 channels going in my head. Is this right? Should I say this? Should I say that is wrong? What? Literally, when
Yeah.
I opened my mouth, it was just air, nothing else. And this guy was looking at me, going, "Hema, you're Hema, right? Do you like to
Yeah.
say something?" And I had tears in my eyes, and I said,
Oh, you had to.
"Ah,
Oh,
yeah." And he said, "No,
okay.
that's okay. Don't worry. You don't have to. It's okay." And yeah, it was like horrible times. I didn't understand. I used to think that it is so bad. I'm so different. I'm so weak. And the only saving grace at that time was my best friend who was there. She was from South as well. And
Okay.
I met her in Melbourne. And the other biggest saving grace was my husband, who would
Okay.
always protect me and be there. I always felt like I needed somebody to protect me. I was so weak, and I used to have all these complexes because I'm not normal. That was what was going in my head. I'm not normal. I'm not normal. How can
Okay.
somebody be with me? And I used to be really like this people pleaser because
Okay.
how can
Okay.
I, how can somebody love me when I'm such a
Yes.
weak person? All these crap. And, it only changed in 2006, the journey began to change. But 2011 was when I completely changed. I started learning about how human brain works and why was I different. Are there people like me in this world? Are we genetically different? Do we have hormonal problems? Is this a mental health condition? Is this
Yeah.
so? When I started learning all these, I realized that everybody is one type of crazy in this world.
Yeah, that is true.
And what I was going through was just a hormonal imbalance, and I can come up with strategies to fix them.
Hmm.
And I came up with a lot of strategies. Now I'm more like stop me if you can, wherever you send me.
Yeah, well, I see that. And I must say, you speak very fast, when you speak.
Mm,
So that is,
maybe slow
yeah.
down.
No, don't need to slow down. It just tells me that you know a lot of things in that area when you're speaking, because probably I think ADHD also can give people overthinking, you know. So, and that overthinking actually can, if you can use that overthinking, then that overthinking can provide you with depth understanding of anything that you choose to learn.
Yeah.
So I think you have that. See, like you have used your past years to go to the depth of things that you have discovered. So I see that when you verbally express those things, right?
Yeah.
And just like you in college, I also used to be in groups, for the projects and for the assignments. And I never contributed myself into any projects. Like there were assignments which you could just get photocopied. So my group members would just do it. And they actually knew that, that I'm not interested in doing assignments or any project. So I didn't have to say anything to them. They just, cooperated with me, and they were like, okay, we'll get your part done too. Don't worry about it, chill and relax. So I used to get all my assignments done through my friends. And, like the main project that you have to submit in college, for that you also have to prepare for the viva. So for that viva, I used to sit with my friends, like just before one day, that okay, just let me know what was the procedure of the project, so I can actually be familiar with the questions that could be asked. And I used to go to my teacher with that preparation, and my teacher used to look at me, and like by the end of the third year, in the first 2 years they didn't know about me much, but by the end of the third year they were like, I know you haven't done anything in the project, and I know you might have just prepared for the viva, so you don't have to take any pressure. I'll just give you a 7 pointer and you may just leave. And I was like, thank you, ma'am.
Wow.
It's like because like in the college I also not used to pay attention, so I always thought that the subject is boring,
Yeah.
I always thought that the teacher is not teaching us in a way they should teach me, because it's not stimulating enough for me, so I better, it's not my fault probably. I always had that mindset, and that's why I ended up doing street plays for 4 years in my college, because
Oh.
that street play, yeah, that's how where I learned writing and script writing and composition of music, a bit of it, not much. I directed 3 4 plays,
Right.
and because that particular thing always stimulated me, there was every day there was something new to do, and I didn't have to read the theory, but I had to perform the actions to make the play happen, so I used to invest a lot of my time. I would say every minute of my day in the street plays rather than going to classes, and so that was my story on it. But fortunately, it did not make me feel weak. Fortunately, so I was more like a happy-go-lucky, like teachers, a bit of like teachers understood me a bit of it, that maybe
That's a good
he's
thing.
just, yeah, he's a stubborn, so he won't do as we say, so let's just at the mercy of my teachers. My college was good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good thing.
So I think we are probably at the end. So what is your personal opinion, Hema? Like, should people go for medication, or like should they try to approach it with coping mechanisms? Because you have had a lot of experience with dealing them.
The first thing is, if you are consistently struggling with concentration issues, impulsiveness, not able to complete tasks, not able to start tasks, if you're struggling with this for more than 6 months, even when you're trying different strategies, then firstly understand that it's not your fault, it's just that you have some neurotransmitter deficit. Okay? So stop blaming yourself or feeling bad about it. First thing. Second, now that you know this is the issue, you can choose. I'm not here to say don't take medications. If you were coming to me, I would probably say that you've chosen to come to me, so let's stop or avoid medications. But maybe that's not the only solution. Now that you know the problem, you can choose to have medications. At the same time, try some therapies, okay? Go to probably psychologist or hypnotherapist, NLP coach, life coach, counseling. Get some help to see if you can come up with strategies to create the change that you need to create. It's not the end of the world, and it doesn't have to be the end of the world. It's pretty easy to resolve it. So
yeah, that's good to hear.
Seek help. And don't blame yourself. If you were in probably Priyam's shoes, you are pretty happy-go-lucky. If you were, if
you're in Hema shoes, guys, please don't blame yourself, right?
Yeah, don't blame yourself. Nothing in this world is worth it. You have nothing to prove or protect to this world. We always have a choice. We can create that choice. So get help, because you can't be pretentious for a long time, can you? You know what I mean? You have to face the truth, and you have to learn to live the best version of you. Whatever you are the best. You are where you are meant to be.
Yeah.
Just spread your wings, unleash your potential, because you do have potential.
All right, guys. So I hope, like what Hema just said, so because, that is the most important part. Like, you guys have to believe in yourself, that if you are existing, then there is a reason and motive behind it. So
true.
Just realize your own power and your own strength. So Hema, do you have any like last personal message for people with ADHD, because you have been through ADHD, and any personal message that you would like to give us?
I'll just say we are perfect the way we are.
We are perfect the way we are. Okay,
very
nicely.
Yeah. If you do want to know about my company, Priyam, with your permission, I'll mention my company's name.
Yeah, of course.
It's Panacea, Panacea, Panacea Valley, Balley Consulting, and I'm Hema, Manu, Anand. You can find me in Insta or Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter.
Yeah, let them know what are the services that you provide through your company.
Sure. We offer one-to-one coaching, for example, like ADHD, anything that you feel stuck in and you want to go to the next level in life. We offer one-to-one coaching. We offer group coaching as well in the form of training programs. And I'm a huge example of how NLP can change life. So, neuro-linguistic programming, I run a lot of courses on neuro-linguistic programming. I teach people how to speak effectively in public. And we provide a corporate training for schools, colleges. We are kind of a platform where any problem that you have can be resolved. All that needs is your will to want to change. If you want it, it's possible.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So guys, I'll drop down the links of Hema's company in the description. You can check it out. And thank you, Hema, for giving us your time today to discuss on ADHD. It was a beautiful interaction. The way you presented us your verbal dance, I enjoyed it. Hopefully our audience will enjoy it, and hopefully they will get the useful information from it. And hopefully we'll see you again on some other topic, probably on NLP we can talk, like how it works, and right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with that said, I'll
With
see you
that.
again.
Thank you, Prem. It was lovely talking to you as well. Hopefully we'll cross path again.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh, let's use the word definitely.
Definitely, let's cross path again. Thank you.
Now,